which we'll go into now then. So let's pick our teams for Liverpool against Chelsea. Rich, we'll come to you first. We presume that Alisson Becker will definitely be starting between the sticks. Who are you going to go for on the back four? There's some pretty impressive displays, and then more than Joe Gomez looked very tidy against Wolves. Are you going to give him a chance?
No. I'm going with Trent, Matip, Konate, Robertson. I think that's your back four, whilst you haven't got Virgil van Dijk. Gomez is okay, but I'd rather see Matip and Konate as a central partnership, and I think that needs to develop. We've seen how many different back fours of Liverpool had this season. Is it like 14 or something? It's something absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? And conscious is changing again, but yeah, that's what I'd go with. Alisson in goal, and again, Alisson has bailed Liverpool out time and time again this season. You know, you could argue he's been Liverpool's player of the season. Just got to look out for those little silly mistakes. We've seen it with other goalkeepers as well, haven't we? In recent matches, and I'm sure I'd be conscious of it. But yeah, I'll go with Trent, Matip, Konate, and Robbo.
Yeah, maybe a little dig at Mr. Lloris there, Rich. Doyley, what's your back four going to look like?
I never liked Lloris. I don't think he's particularly good. He's a decent goalkeeper, but he's not world class. And he was within a couple of penalties, a captain in a team to win the World Cup twice. So, I mean, what does that show me? It shows me I know nothing. Now, pay attention to what I'm saying when I say that Alisson Becker should be in goal. Disagree on Matip. Matip was so bad against Brighton, it's almost untrue. Worst game he's ever played. And I think that the way Liverpool play at the moment, if you have one good game, you're in. And Gomez played a very good game, took his chance, so he's playing. Trent right back, I was just thinking maybe you might play Milner, but Trent always plays against Chelsea, and there must be a reason for that. Also, Milner's only just come back from injury. He could be one of the first subs to come on. Konate and Robertson.
Kiefer, it looks like you've got the deciding vote then on the centre-half decision. Who are you going to go for on yours?
I really am split. I think Dolly might have just swayed me into his camp, but yeah, I do agree. I mean, Matip was obviously hooked early at Brighton, and as Dolly says, one of his, well, if not his probably worst performance during his time at Liverpool. And we're going to speak about the midfield shortly, but I think Gomez was steady alongside Konate, and that's largely tipped to be kind of Liverpool's. Well, a lot of people hope to be Liverpool's partnership for the future. So it kind of feels like if you weren't, if you're not going to start rewarding form and maybe punishing bad performances at this stage of the season as like a revamp, when are you going to start doing it? So I think he'll go Matip, but I would like to see him go Gomez. So I'm going to sit on the fence. But yeah, I think if it is Gomez and Konate, it's more than deserved.
Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely play players on form in this situation, this strange situation Liverpool find themselves in. I'd chuck Joe Gomez in there alongside Konate as well. Dolly, let's go to you then in the midfield. Now, there's going to be some interesting selections. I'm sure there'll be some changes. I'm sure. Are you going to give Stefan Bajcetic the chance, or are you going to go in the safe option with Fabinho?
I'm not going. That's I think the safe option, is it?
Not
if
safe.
Anything, it's the unsafe option.
The expected option.
Well, there's no. I don't think Bajcetic plays. No, he went off cramp after 70 minutes, didn't he? So, and he's just come back from an injury. Although Klopp said, he's part of the first team squad now. You're not playing him against Chelsea. I don't think Fabinho plays. But I think that the other two are Keita and Thiago, because Thiago was very good against Wolves. Keita, maybe not quite as good as Pat was making out, but certainly better than Rich was making out. So split down the middle there.
Get off the fence, Doyley, come on.
I'm not getting off the fence. I'm giving the accurate representation of his game. So, yeah, I think Keita's done enough. I don't think he'll play the 90 minutes, but then, as I said, you've got Milner, Bajcetic, Henderson. You could even put Ox in there. There's suddenly now quite a few players that they could. Curtis Jones. So there's 5 that they could bring in just in midfield alone. So, yeah, I think you play the players that are in form. I think Fabinho's more informed than Henderson. Bajcetic won't play, so Fabinho plays. Then obviously Thiago and Keita.
Well then, Kiefer, you were speaking before on Bajcetic. Are you going to be the one that gives him the chance? Our fellow young prospect, shall we say?
I am. I'm going to throw him in. I'm going to go for the same midfield. I'm going to go Bajcetic, Thiago, and Keita. I know I completely understand what Dolly's saying in terms of playing Fabinho and kind of. I think you kind of got to have one of those kind of senior heads around. But obviously, he dropped Fabinho, didn't he, for the game at Old Trafford in August, and if I'm right as well, at the Emirates. So it shows that he's not scared to make big decisions in regards to Fabinho and his form this season. And, you know, as we've just alluded there with the defence, you know, play players on form. And as I said to you before the pod started, Pat, you know, it's maybe feels like the next stage of his kind of, you know, his development is to kind of maybe give him a big game like this. It might come too soon, but I'm sure we'll find out. But I think he's more than after. I know it was only Wolves, but he's showed in his cameos this season as well and his performances that he's confident enough and he's brave enough, and I think that's all you can ask for.
Well, this is one of the most entertaining and divisive team selectors we've had. Rich, you've got another decider then in the number 6 role in your midfield. If you want to talk us through that, and then also go straight into your front line as well.
Tricky. And I think I may have had my head turned a little bit, to be honest, because I wasn't sure on starting with Bezetic before we came on. And then I was like, well, actually, you're right. I mean, will he get his chance? Are we going to put in players who've done well and performed? But the point about him coming off is a valid one. And I've got a thing about overplaying young players. Like, I think at the start of the season, Harvey Elliott played too much. And that didn't do him any favours. And it's one of them. Klopp sort of said, I don't think we need to be too careful with him. But I think because I'm so safe, as you might coin it, Pat, I think I probably would just go with Fabinho because of the gravity of the match and that extra level of experience that it gives you. But whether he lasts the game or not, I don't know. I mean, if you went entirely happy with Fabinho, you've still got an option of putting Milner in that role as well. It's not, you know, it's not out of the realms of possibility. But I'll go with Fabinho with understudy Stefan on hand if anything goes wrong or if we need to mix it up a little bit. The other two in there, I'd have Thiago in, who I thought, just on your point about Wolves, you say not being too impressed with the Wolves players who we linked in. I am actually quite a big fan of Ruben Neves. I think he's really good, and I think he played well at Anfield and is a good player. He's not necessarily what Liverpool need, because I think in terms of the qualities he's got, is probably a little bit too similar to Thiago, apart from the fact that he can score 30-yard screamers. But Thiago, I thought, schooled him a little bit the other night, and Thiago's in, and Naby Keita gets another chance to prove that he could string together a run of games. Will he let me down? He might do.
After your only words, Rich, you are going for Keita.
I'm going Keita's in, yeah. Keita's in. They need to change something in that midfield from what was the established trio. And I don't think Harvey Elliott in that sort of trio works for me, as I've basically been saying all season. So Keita's in on that basis. You know, they've spent some money on him. Let's have a bit of a return on it before they let him leave on a free at the end of the season. And
then you attack them, Rich, if you want to lead us into that.
Well, if Nunez is available, he's got to go straight back in. If you look at the game on which apparently Liverpool were much better in against Wolves, they only had 2 shots on target in the whole match, 7 shots in total. Wolves had 11. You know, it's not really good enough, is it? We need a bit more than that. And Nunez has had a few issues converting these chances in front of goal. And I've been critical of him through the season. I don't think he's necessarily been technically as good as his predecessor. Kiefer said to me a couple of months back that he'd go to war for Darwin Nunez. Now, you know, I may still be sat back in the barracks, letting him go over the top. I don't know, but I'm on the side of Nunez now, because what I see with him as a player who is working really hard is a nightmare to mark, and he's getting chances. He's not like he's trotting around a bit anonymous or anything. So I do think things are going to start happening for him very soon. So I have Nunez in with Salah in his usual spot, and Cody Gakpo on the other side, who have not been particularly bowled over by so far, but it's early days, isn't it? And we need to, we've invested in an international football here, and we need to see him on the pitch. So Salah, Nunez, Gakpo.
Yeah, he's certainly a goal scorer. Doyle, how about your front three? You spoke before about how impressive Gakpo was in that false 9. Or would you potentially switch Darwin Nunez out to the left and Gakpo down the middle. How are you going to shape your attack up?
Yeah, I'm that impressed with Gakpo. He's dropped. So Nunez comes in on the left. Harvey Elliott's on the right. Go back to our form. And Salah's down the middle because he thinks that he scored 1 in 4 or something like that, which for him is like a massive drought. And whenever that tends to happen, Klopp likes to get him a bit nearer the goal. We've seen Nunez can play on the left. We've seen that Salah can play down the middle. We've seen that Elliott is obviously a lot more comfortable at the moment, certainly on the right of the front three. We know that Thiago and Keita, we know what they can do. Keita knows what Salah can do, etc., etc. So I don't really see a problem with the three of them playing in that particular position. And as I just mentioned, then Nunez, if he's fit, he comes in and he's decent on the left wing. I mean, he played there against Tottenham, didn't he? And he set up a goal for Salah. So yeah, there you go. That's what I think. In fact, to be honest, I actually think that is what will happen. That's what I think will happen. That's what I think he'll do. That's also what I'd do.
I mean, I think having that pace as well, especially down the channels against what is likely to be a three at the back, I think there's possible to still play three at the back with Chelsea. I mean, if you've got Nunez exploiting, whether it's a centre half on that right hand side, it's definitely a tactic that we could make use of. Kiefer, round us off then with your attack. I mean, it's an interesting shout for Harvey Elliott from Doyley. That's where he played when he was coming through. He's very impressive there against Wolves. Are you going to give him a shot as well, or are you going to change things up?
I did actually consider it as I was scribbling down my team halfway through this, but I'm going to bring Rich into the trenches with me, and Nunez is going down the middle, Salah on the right. I just think up against someone like Thiago Silva and whoever else is drafted in to try and defend. I just think you need you do need a physical presence, and I just think as Doyley said, Nunez had a good few games and obviously played there for Benfica on the left, but I think as well having Gakpo, who's a big lad, and we have seen for Holland that he does like to drift inside and kind of maybe sometimes plays that second striker. I think as I said, up against big centre halves, I think that is really going to help Liverpool. So I know he hasn't had the most eye-catching start to his Liverpool career, but obviously it's been a difficult team to come into at a difficult time. So at this point, until the likes of Jota and Luis Diaz are back from injury, I will be playing Gakpo, just kind of getting him up to speed and getting him used to his teammates, and hopefully that's something that will benefit him in the long run ahead of pre-season and ahead of the next season. So for me, it's Gakpo on the left, Nunez down the middle, and Salah on the right.